Number 7. Robbie Lawler last lost his UFC welterweight title to Tyron Woodley at UFC 201 and is currently taking some time off. With GSP looking to make a return, I believe a fight with Robbie Lawler would be a great comeback fight for him, as he will be able to test himself against another former champion. It will be interesting to see how GSP will deal with Robbie Lawler's aggressive fighting style, and it will let GSP know whether or not he is ready to challenge for the UFC welterweight title. Number 6. Michael Bisping is the current UFC middleweight champion who has shown interest in fighting GSP as of late. The UFC tried their best to get the fight done between both fighters at UFC 206, but GSP was unable to get the deal that he was looking for, and the fight was scrapped. If Michael Bisping is able to get past Yoel Romero later this year, it will be interesting to see GSP face Michael Bisping for the UFC middleweight title. Number 5. Nick Diaz has been cleared to return to active competition and is looking for a fight that would interest him making a comeback. I believe if he is offered to fight GSP, he would definitely accept the fight. Both fighters fought at UFC 158 where George St. Pierre won the fight by a unanimous decision. Nick Diaz has mentioned in the past that GSP is afraid to fight him again. GSP responded saying he would beat him worse than he did last time they fought. I believe this fight would be the perfect fight for both fighters to make a comeback. Number 4. In George St. Pierre's last fight, he defeated Johny Hendricks by a split decision at UFC 167. A lot of fans thought that Johny Hendricks won the fight, including the UFC president Dana White. A lot has changed whilst GSP was on the sidelines. Johny Hendricks became the UFC welterweight champion and now calls the middleweight division his new home, with GSP saying that there might be a possibility of him fighting at 185 pounds. This fight would definitely be a great opportunity for both fighters to prove who is the better fighter once and for all. Number 3. Tyron Woodley is the current UFC welterweight champion who has been campaigning for a fight with GSP ever since he won the title. Since George St. Pierre retired as the champion, it definitely makes sense for him to face Tyron Woodley straight away. Both fighters have different styles, and it will be interesting to see how GSP will deal with Tyron Woodley's vicious power. It will definitely be a treat to see both fighters battle it out in the octagon. Number 2. For years, both George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva were long reigning champions in their divisions, and there was always talk of both fighters facing off in a super fight, but the bout never materialized. When Anderson Silva heard the news that GSP was making the comeback, he immediately showed interest in facing GSP in a super fight. I believe now is the perfect time for both legends to face off and prove who the better fighter is. Number 1. When the news broke that GSP has come to terms with the UFC and he was making a comeback, rumours started surfacing that he has requested to face the current UFC lightweight champion Conor McGregor. Both fighters are relatively the same size and would match up very well against each other. If this fight ever happened, it would be interesting to see how Conor McGregor would deal with GSP's wrestling for 5 rounds, and it will also be interesting to see how GSP will deal with Conor McGregor's left hand, as top fighters such as Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez were finished relatively easily by him. This is a very intriguing matchup, and I hope we get to see this fight sometime this year.